So I have finished this new Mark Leyner book, Last Orgy of the Divine Hermit. I finished it this morning, in fact, and I've audiobooked it, not read it yet. I say I finished it, but will I ever finish it? Because this is a book I know I'm going to go back to. I will, as soon as I move, I plan to get the print copy because that would have kind of been my preferred path through it, would be to read it and then to audiobook it. I think there is, I think Neil Gaiman or someone said that with poetry you do want to hear it, but and Mark Leyner is probably the most poetic author, certainly one of the most poetic authors I can think of, but that was not going to happen right now, so I'm going to have to wait and do it kind of reversed. But the thing about reading him on print is that you can read much faster than an audiobook reader can read, and that's part of the joy of Mark Leyner, is getting this just kaleidoscope of imagery and massive vocabulary, incorporating all these terms for which we don't yet have words. So he uses things like pop culture and junk culture, whatever trash culture that is lying around, whatever he needs to assimilate into his work to make, to describe what he's trying to describe. And what is he just trying to describe? That sounded so rehearsed. What is he trying to describe? What is he trying to describe? There's so many beautiful images in this book, but the one that I think sticks with me the most as describing the book itself, and this is a book in which every sentence is about the book itself. I've said somewhere before, very Kabbalistic notion, or maybe I was talking about Joyce. There's a lot of parallels actually between Joyce and Leyner, between Burroughs and Leyner, between Pynchon and Leyner, all the great authors, Nabokov. Actually, I got hints of Pale Fire with the creation in this book of this fictitious, I think, East European country. It reminded me a little of Pale Fire, but Mark Leyner there's nobody exactly like Mark Leyner. He has his influences, sure, but this book is really, it's Mark Leyner. And it's really just, it's about this relationship between him and his daughter, Gabby. But, oh, I didn't talk about the image. The image that I see as representing this book a lot is, he describes that, I'm sure every kid has at some point taken two mirrors, like a hand mirror and a real mirror, and looked, and they can see into eternity as it reflects back on itself and back on itself. That's the image of this book. I don't know if it's in the book, but I also have this picture of like a pebble tossed on a pond and the ripples floating out and reflecting off the the edge of the pond, and back on itself. That's also another image that I have for this book. And it's so easy to lose yourself in the writing, and I love that feeling of when that happens. I'm never lost. I was on that chat that Leyner did recently, the interview, and somebody said they get lost. I don't feel like I get lost in a bad sense. I know what's going on, and I'm pretty even aware of a lot of the I feel like I follow Leyner, I get him, but I get lost in the sense that there's just so many not tricks, that's not the right word. So many just beautiful techniques that are at play that you can feel happening as they're happening. And sometimes you can anticipate just a few seconds ahead to where he's going. And sometimes they'll twist it, and it's just fascinating to read and to watch. This book, if you've read other Leyner, I would say that this is most similar to, a lot of his novels have this very similar structure, basically everything from Tetherballs. Very similar in some sense to The Sugar Frosted Nutsack, but also Gone with the Mind too. This book encompasses all of his previous novels, but all of his novels or books encompass all the other ones, even the ones that haven't yet been written. So I did enjoy it thoroughly. It's divided into two sections. I could say you could start here if you've never read Leyner. This is a great starting point. And if this is your first read of Leyner and you do read it, I'd like to hear your thoughts. So please let me know in the comments below what you think of this book, or even if you've read tons of Leyner, let me know what you think. I loved it. I said that his books are like memoirs in the sense that they capture his frame of mind, his moment of his life better than just about any other memoir, so-called memoir out there. That I don't read a lot of memoirs. I've read some memoirs, but this is not a traditional memoir. And but it's also about our moment in the media sphere. I feel like that's what Leyner captures, and that's why I recommended you try this book right when it comes out, because this is about our moment in a lot of ways that no other author that I can think of really captures the feel of media, without even often mentioning all these media forces at work, all these things like Instagram, Twitter armies, and just all these different comment sections of whatever, like all that stuff that is these new forms that are constantly emerging, and how people interact in this new stage of our existence. One other parallel I was thinking of with James Joyce, I talked about in how Joyce shows the beautiful, or he as an artist, his role is to show the beautiful, but he often does that by showing the horrific or the horrible. And I think Leyner does the same. He's well aware of like all the tragedies and all the ugly things that happen in the world, but he still manages to find delight was a word that I've heard come up in interviews with him. But I don't think I don't know if that's quite the right word for me, anyways, because delight. Well, maybe it's nice, because I think of, when I hear delight, I think of like an infant, like the way a child's view of the world is so excited about the simplest things. It doesn't matter how much the baby was crying that morning, they're in the moment of that delight. If you're after a traditional novel, and that's usually how his books are marketed, but if you're after that, the conventional things that you expect in a novel, like a traditional plot, a traditional development, a traditional feeling of climax and resolution, you may be disappointed. You may not. I don't know. I really have no idea what I read. I read novels, but I don't read a lot of novels, and I don't read a lot of quote unquote literary novels. I don't know. I just have authors that I like, and I know Leyner. To me, like he's one of those authors that like I so much admire his works that it's not even a question of do I like it or not. It's like he has a new book, I'm gonna read it. Yeah, I would say I've liked some more than others, but I always appreciate his books, and this one is no exception. And I'm very pleased to discover that, and I'm really looking forward to the actual read-through of the print version. I think a lot of his books, I don't know if this is true, but with Gone with the Mind, he was kind of addressing the relationship between him and his mother, kind of in that sense, autobiography, memoir. But I'm trying to remember too, with the Sugar Frosted Nutsack, was that kind of about a specific relationship too? I need to reread that one. This is definitely about his relationship with his daughter. Other relationships in his life are addressed as well, but that is the focus, and his own writing style, his own existence. There's moments of fiction, definitely, but I think when he's most honest, you can tell when he's being honest, and there may be things that he substitutes in lieu of the exact details of his life. But I think this is really about his actual experiences and his feelings as he approaches this point in his life. So that's why I do think of them as memoirs, and I love his works, and I hope you check him out if you haven't, because it changes the way that you see the world, and I think that's what a great artist can do, is just transform your understanding of your life and your existence. So it may not be what you expect, but that's, I think, what you get when you enter somebody else's world, and it's a fully fleshed out world. So I think you will dig it. So check it out, Last Orgy of the Divine Hermit by Mark Leyner, in bookstores and elsewhere now.